it going? Sweet. Okay, so trying to get to intercostal tissue, specifically intercostal muscles, to assess the soft tissue. The only thing you meaningfully can do is yield to pressure. And you've got to line up. It's a small space, so you basically have no choice but to use your fingertips and poke them. You're not often, aside from exceptionally specific circumstances, going to really be able to figure out where it's not yielding. Usually the signal that you're going to get is that somebody is going to show a protective response. They're going to jump, they're going to pull away, they're going to make a face. In this situation, I will not see the face. I will not check her intercostals from the front. I will not. It's creepy, okay? In seated, you generally benefit from working on an opposite side, right? So I don't want to do this. Why don't I want to do this? I'll push her away. I don't have control. So if I come to this side and control, I can get this side. I need them exposed, right? So technically, in a seated position, they're exposed enough. Put this hand on the other shoulder. There you go. Now they're more exposed. Now I hold the elbow so I can have good control here, right? Now if I go in just like this, sometimes I'll find it. So my fingers point up because I need to find that angle, right? So I kind of have it. No, I don't. Now I do. Now I have it. Now the easier thing to do is this, because now they relatively open up. So that's not bad. Obviously we have some other some other fabric there, but is that a spot that's a little annoying? Yeah, because you can sometimes get that difference in yield, right? That's not bad. As I walk around, that's a little worse, right? As you get up higher, there's going to be more muscle in the way. Yeah, it just keeps going. Like, so for her, for whatever reason, mid-axillary line sucks. But this is harder to do. This is easier because you essentially open it up like a fan or an accordion. Okay, we're going to have you lay on your side with your head up there. Okay, now in lateral, right, so sometimes you have the arm here. Obviously, this is a problem. What do I do with their arms? Now, because it's a vertical pressure, right? So I'm coming in through the side, and the other side is on the table. So if we want to conceptually think about what's happening, the table is doing what I did on the opposite side, right? So now, this is going to look a little odd, right? But now, technically, if we want to flip and rotate in our brains, I would be over here, right? But it's the table. So the table makes stable. Now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to find a way to relatively approximate the angle of the rib, and I'm just going to poke down, right? So in this case, this hand sort of helps me figure out where I am. Sometimes you can go hand beside hand, but I'm closer to what I'm doing here, right? Interestingly, it's worse back here for you, right? Okay, so on the opposite side, on the right side, as I go further back in the angle, it's easier to go further back in the angle of the ribs, or through the angle, how the ribs spin around the body. It's easier to do in lateral because it's more exposed, more free to move in the plane or planes required. It's just easier, but I can only get one side. In seated, I have to switch sides. In supine, it's hard because in supine, I'm sitting down and I have to sort of do this stuff and I have to do all kinds of weird stuff with my hands. So the most appropriate positions are seated and lateral. Yeah, I said that properly. And then so I'm here, right? In this case, because this is the rib below, right? So funny there, right? It's just the yield, right? And almost all of this one is bad, right? Now, the reason that I would say almost all of this is bad is because as I push into it, it's comparatively not yielding. And as I say it, I look down and she's making funny faces. But yeah, seated and lateral are most appropriate. If you need to check intercostals, the reason that you would check intercostals, or the reasons that you would check intercostals, is you have an obvious side bending problem, right, in the thoracic region. There's an obvious side bending problem in the thoracic region, and your first approaches don't work. This is a smaller area to zoom in on. You would also want to do this after you generally approach the ribs. So a general approach to the ribs in lateral is going to be much more like this, just holding, and as she breathes, you just hold, and you wait, and you wait, and you wait, right? If that helps your larger problem, you can stop there. If that doesn't, then you can start to investigate intercostal tissue. It's almost always tender for almost everybody, and it's probably your last approach to a major side bending problem, a complaint of respiratory problems or issues. Now, the other thing is, somebody says very specifically, I've got pain here. Okay, well, that's a really great reason to start there, right? Because in the case of intercostals, the most appropriate method, generally speaking, so if we were to look here, where'd you go? What the heck? Yeah, it's this one. Okay. Yeah, this one. So about here, you could just hold at a certain level and wait, or you soften it all up and then you wait, right? So you take some of the sensation off of it by changing the length of the muscles, and then the sensory information should change, and you would just wait, and then you'd come off, and then you'd keep the same pressure, and then you check. But if they say there's pain there, you can check there. We usually don't approach pain as our primary diagnostic criteria, but in small areas, you can think about it and then you just soften it up. So it's an indirect type approach. But yeah, checking the intercostal tissues, seated and lateral, are the best.